but we are seeing some quantities of gold.
It shows gold.
Yeah.
Gold and silver has finally been found on Oak Island. The Lagena crew's hard work finally paid off. But it leaves a question: are these a part of the mystic treasure? Or the Oak Island, known for its hidden treasure, turned out to be a gold mine that is about to change the Lagena crew's lives forever? Let's dive in and find out.
It is, in fact, silver, but it does have a little bit of a lead content. Like, I only left these elements because they image really well. So this right here is a William III shilling. Silver, same diameter, and it matches the designs to a T.
Wow.
It was only when the crew paired up with Dumas Contracting Limited that they began to rebuild the 18th century old garden shaft, which is believed to be the original depositor of the long-lost treasure. They had several reasons to believe the treasure would be at the bottom of this shaft. The first reason was because they had discovered a collapsed secret tunnel just below the shaft, and two, because this mysterious tunnel was running toward the west in the direction of the baby blob. The baby blob is the area that tested very highly for traces of gold, silver, and other metals. The next step for the two combined teams was to begin their horizontal probe drilling, which they hoped would reveal to them the location of the treasure. Unfortunately, they instead caused a leak of ocean water that forced them out of the tunnel. They realized they had fallen into an ancient trap that litters this island, destroying all the work they had done to this point. They speculate that they hit the flood tunnel system, but at the same time, this disaster has validated many of the stories and legends surrounding the island. All the science and booby traps come together to confirm that the legends about this island are real.
The big goal is to get good, solid pieces of the shaft so we can do dendrochronology on it. That'll give us an excellent date.
They have concluded that the volume and speed at which they flooded the garden shaft can only truly be explained by deliberate actions done to stop treasure hunters. As they arrive, Jack explains that things have changed all around the island. Lot 5 is their first stop, and they describe all the different discoveries and clues they have been able to unearth in this area. They have found ancient structures nobody knew about in Lot 5, as well as artifacts that are dated from as far back as the 1200s to the 1700s. There have even been ancient coins and tokens found in this lot. One thing about these finds is that they only become more intriguing with time, so they have Laird and his team working in the area even now. Since they have so much evidence of treasure in the money pit, the crew has been searching the rest of the island for more clues as to who had created this mystery on the island. The western portion of the island could hold the answers. Lot 5, a 4-acre portion of land, was first purchased a few years ago by Rick, Marty, and Craig from the estate of Robert Young. Since this purchase, they have continued to make new discoveries in that area, all of which has given them new suspects as to the person who left all the traps, secrets, and treasure on the island. One of the suspects left behind 4 Roman coins, which go back 2,000 years.
It is?
Yeah, this is a clearly Roman design.
So, is a Roman coin?
Absolutely, yeah.
2 for 2.
They found an old barter token that they have connected to the lead cross found in Smith's Cove back in 2017 and is associated with the Knights Templar. They have also found iron tools linked to Sir William Phipps, who was an English politician in the 17th century. This link led everyone to speculate that a whole chest of Spanish silver could be buried in the money pit. These finds were made near stone foundations, one which is rectangular and the other rounded one near the shoreline. The archaeologists are busy digging and uncovering an incredible stone structure that is much larger than anyone imagined. This has become a designated special place for the crew after all the astonishing finds they have made. This special designation will help protect these sites and allow them to dig in an archaeological fashion that will protect the context in which these items were left behind. Already, they have been able to determine how the shape of the structure they are studying varies in size, curvature, and quality of construction due to their great care. They have determined how the newer section has very intentional design and speaks to the theory that this is a project spanning multiple generations. They speculate that perhaps the people behind this could have been living in this area while building the money pit. Gary and Peter arrive at Lot 4 and are about to go over all of the spoils they discovered around the big feature. Their job will need the use of metal detectors, as they are going to be searching more than 10 tons of spoils that were collected along the shoreline of Lot 5. They have found items that vary in age all along the stone-lined foundation, amongst them a 14th century barter token and 17th century tools. They have also found materials that match substances discovered 100 feet deep in the money pit, as well as matching things found below Cone E, which have been linked to an 800-year-old cross. Gary and Peter are determined to find something that can tell them when the feature was created and why. After some searching, Gary finds a cut coin. This means that it could be a Spanish coin, likely made of silver.
We found a cut coin.
Okay.
And if this is a cut coin, mate, if this is a cut coin, mate, it could well be a Spanish coin.
Gary notes that the cut is very clean and deliberate, as that is how they used to make change with their coins. This could potentially be a Spanish treasure coin. During the 18th century, European nations like Spain, England, and France were colonizing the world and establishing trade routes and outposts throughout the Americas. During this time, it was common for the military and for outlaws like pirates to cut coins to pay their crews. Gary and Peter know that the Lagena brothers, Rick and Marty, will be delighted with their find. They head over to the lab, proud of their work. At the Oak Island lab are the Lagena brothers, along with Jack, Laird, and Emma, who will assist them in learning more about their find. Laird immediately confirms it's a cut coin, Jack notes it has been quartered, and Emma says she will run it through the CT scanner to get an image. To find small details and features on the coin, they will use a SkyScan CT scanner to X-ray and magnify the image into a three-dimensional model. Emma notes that this quick scan only shows surface-level scratches, but that a longer scan will give them more detail. They decide that while they wait for this highly detailed scan, they can search the area for more scans. Rick and the rest of the team get together for a meeting where Marty and Craig join them via a video conference app. The report on the silver coin is in, and everyone wants to hear the news. Emma explains that the detailed scan she did revealed faint engravings on one side of the coin, and the XRF map scanner showed that the silver coin contained some lead. The XRF scanner uses beams of X-rays, which give different colors to different elements that are present on the surface of various objects.
So it's an English shilling from the 1690s.
Oh yeah, you can see the ponytail.
Yeah. And the little two triangles, it's its little ribbon.
Wow, that's a shocker.
The engraving of GVLI and the design on the left and right side matches some marks on a William III shilling and has the same silver composition and diameter. This 1690 English shilling is not a Spanish silver coin, but still interesting, as it proves that the area they were searching in could have been inhabited around the 1600s. They are disappointed this is not a clue toward their Spanish treasure theory, but they now have reason to believe that someone was working or hiding something in Lot 5, perhaps even a soldier being paid for some service. The Oak Island historian, Doug Crowell, is reminded of a book about the British military that attempted to recover William Phipps's treasure on the island all those years ago. In this book, Doug references titled Oak Island and Its Treasures. The authors dictated an amazing tale of a covert operation that took place on Oak Island after Sir William Phipps allegedly buried a vault of treasure in the Money Pit area. According to the book, English allies of Sir William made a number of failed attempts to retrieve the treasure on Oak Island in the late 1600s. This shilling could be proof that the English military were once on Oak Island. If Doug Crowell is right, this piece could be connected to failed treasure recovery operations. They never found the treasure, and adding in the gold and silver particles present in the water tests conducted on the island, the clues all point to the treasure still being on the island. This find and their searches in Lot 5 have just become more vital and significant than ever before. This incredible discovery has changed the game for the Oak Island crew. The sense that they are closer to answers than ever before becomes truer every day. Do you think they will discover the treasure after collecting these pieces of evidence? Let us know in the comments down below. Please do not forget to subscribe and turn notifications on so you never miss an update.
Might there be a chance here to discover the treasure once and for all? Sure.
There's all of these clues that strongly suggest this area holds significant interest.
Rick Lagina has finally found a breakthrough on mysteries of the infamous Oak Island. They just found something so bizarre that proves that gold is here on this island. Did they find a hidden chest that has a map to the actual treasure? Well, in this video, we are going to find that out. Craig Tester and Steve Guptill, along with Alex Lagina and the rest of the crew, are gathered to begin the latest large-scale excavation with the hope that they will uncover the second shaft, over 100 feet deep, and built in the early days of the 18th century, believed to be only a few feet southeast of the original money pit. To do this, they will be digging up the first ever searcher shaft on Oak Island. Their current goal is to obtain some pieces of the shaft and conduct dendrochronology on it, which will be able to tell them the year this wood was formed on a tree. According to Craig, if anything will be able to tie them back to the original money pit, it would be shaft 2. The tree rings they spot on the wood will tell them when it was cut down. If they can uncover and confirm the date to around 1805, they will not only be able to locate the original money pit, but also find the source of the precious metals they have detected in the area. They excavate a big piece of wood they believe could have belonged to one of the long walls. But the question remains, does this belong to shaft 2? According to Rick Lagina, the second shaft is like the Holy Grail in terms of significance. They are closer than ever to finding the money pit. The wood they pull out is rounded and thick, which Craig believes is the outside of the tree, and could be excellent for their testing. They take multiple samples of this wood when Marty Lagina arrives on site, and they decide to use a mirror to take a closer look at what's down there, by reflecting light into the dark corners. Marty describes how incredible it is what people in the past were able to accomplish with their limited technology, but also how they need to think to find the money pit. Gary uses his metal detector and finds a signal in one of the scoops of dirt, pulling out a rosehead spike which remains in great condition, possibly from the 1700s. Between the 1780s and mid-1800s, rosehead spikes were created for construction. This could be another clue. They note a lot of boards in the dark pit, and they decide to try and take some of those beams off the walls. Rick notes the mix of old... Back at Lot 5, Jamie Kuba says that the archaeologists are making progress in digging carefully into the square depression. But a new project has been started to use genomics EM38B to scan the area near the rectangle feature and look for artifacts. The archaeological department has an electromagnetic induction device. The gadget's job is to find out how the pressure force changes the ground. The soil is changed by things like floods, fire, erosion, and the movement of soil layers. It is still possible to figure out what happened at the site, even if the proof has been washed away or is almost gone. The EM38B uses its magnetic pulls to find buried metal objects, buildings made of wood or stone, and damage or disturbance caused by people. While testing EM38B, Jamie was told that something strange was going on in a certain place. It's pretty close to the circular depression, which could mean something and link the two places together in some way. Beforehand, there were set places to explore that were marked with ropes spaced about 50 centimeters apart. This makes it easy to check the breadth to see how big the problem is, how long it is, and exactly where it is. With this feature, the team isn't just searching randomly, they're searching in places that have been specifically chosen. As another morning sun goes down, the team gets ready for the work of the day. We start the day with a video call with Craig Tester and the rest of the team. The aim of the meeting was to read the carbon dating report of 100-foot-deep wood samples that were taken more than a week ago at the C5N27 borehole. The wood came from a recently found shaft that went into the baby blob and was located directly east of the garden shaft. If you like the movie so far, please subscribe to the channel. Reports say that a piece of wood was carbon dated and found to be between 53.2% and 1811 years old, 25.5% to 1644 years old, and 16.7% to 1950 years old. The wood looks like it came from an outer edge tree and was cut down around the same time. Based on this information, the wood seems to be from a time before treasure hunters came to the island. This means that the tunnel was built by the people who first put the treasure there, not by someone who was looking for treasure. The Oak Island team is thrilled with this news. It proves that they are in the right place to drill the C5N27 hole, and they will soon be able to fully enter the tunnel. This tube could be an addition to the money pit or a way to get to it. It will become clear over time. It's also possible that C5N27 is bigger than what we think it is, especially in terms of length. There's no question that the money out and the tunnel at C5N27 are connected. Perhaps by digging deeper into the garden shaft, a link to the tunnel and a whole new discovery could be made. The information we have about C5N27 is more than satisfactory. It gives us hope for the search that lies ahead and for the amazing finds that will definitely be made. The Oak Island team looks excited to keep looking for the lost loot. This time, though, they are a little closer to discovering its home and hopefully taking the treasures out of the boxes.
The enthralling tale of persistent search culminates in a horrible final excavation that rewrites history and challenges the human imagination. Prepare to be astounded because reality is more magnificent than your wildest dreams. It's the Lagena brothers again. During the final phase of excavation at Oak Island, they made a terrible discovery with their crew. On the 140 acres of the supposedly cursed Oak Island, the Lagena brothers and metal detector expert Gary Drayton have primarily discovered clay, wood, and metal implements. But they have also discovered a number of rare artifacts. But what precisely are these insanity-inducing discoveries they make during the final Oak Island excavation? As we unearth each piece of treasure discovered in the final section of The Curse of Oak Island, the truth becomes apparent. When the excavation reached a depth of 190 feet, a subterranean vault that had been concealed for a long time was discovered. There was an overwhelming sense of surprise and disbelief. The group cautiously entered the room as their pulses raced in anticipation. Inside its dimly lit confines, they witnessed an extraordinary sight. In front of them was a glittering tableau of extraordinary wealth, comprised of piles of gold and silver coins, antique artifacts, and priceless diamonds. The treasure was quickly estimated to be worth billions, making it one of the most significant discoveries in history. The artifacts disclosed a rich history, connecting Oak Island to antiquity and validating long-debated hypotheses. As news of the discovery spread like wildfire, it attracted the attention of historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters all over the globe. As specialists dedicated their time to discovering the treasure's origins and legends, Oak Island became the focal point of the investigation. The Lagena brothers have spent their entire 9-season tenure searching for treasures buried on the island by the Knights Templar, British soldiers, or even Spanish pirates. In the Season 1 finale of The Curse of Oak Island, titled The Find, metal detectorist Steve Zazulik discovered a 8-inscribed coin while investigating a swamp. Later, it was determined that it was a copper Spanish 8 maravedis coin from the 17th century. In the Season 2 premiere, Once In, Forever In, the coin was cleansed and examined, revealing that 1652 was inscribed on the reverse. Additional examination of the coin revealed that it had been lost in the marsh for hundreds of years and was not a recently deposited object. All indications pointed to the fact that this was a legitimate historical discovery, the first of many throughout the program. Could this inconspicuous copper coin be evidence of previously undiscovered pirate treasure? The Lagena brothers appeared to be on the right track in their search for Oak Island's concealed wealth. In the second episode of the second season, Return to the Money Pit, treasure hunter Gary Drayton discovered not one, but 2 distinctive treasures while metal detecting. He made his first discovery near Oak Island's shore. Drayton and his associates discovered a button from a 17th century military officer's uniform, although it is unknown to which military it belonged. However, it could be evidence that the military was responsible for some of the confidential information on the island. In the interim, Drayton and his companions discovered their second find of the day in a nearby forest. A small coin that appeared to be a 17th century maravedi similar to the one discovered in the season finale of the previous year was concealed in the soil. Compared to other coins, however, this one was substantially smaller, perhaps the size of 2 maravedis as opposed to 8. Even though they are small, these incredible discoveries may point to a larger treasure hidden on Oak Island. In the third episode of the second season, The 8-Pointed Star, Gary made 2 astounding scientific discoveries. This time, Drayton and his companions discovered 2 17th century King Charles II Britannia coins buried beneath the pebbles and pyrite strewn along the coastline. One of the coins clearly displayed the year 1771 on its surface, indicating that they were centuries ancient. Where did these 17th century coins originate? They may have been abandoned by treasure hunters in a hurry, or more fervently, could Could they have been abandoned on Oak Island by a wealthy gang that came there to conceal their loot? Undoubtedly, the Oak Island team would need to conduct additional investigation. Diver and treasure hunter Tony Sampson cleaned the coin and observed what appeared to be a cross pattern on one side. This peculiar cross may be the emblem of the Knights Templar, who established one of the earliest global financial systems in the 13th century. Could this coin have been used for finance by the Knights Templar? Who can say? What initially appeared to be the discovery of a small Spanish Maravedi coin may in fact be a crucial clue leading to a large amount of Knights Templar treasure concealed on Oak Island. In Circles in Wood, the 6th episode of the 4th season, Gary Drayton, along with associate producers and fellow treasure hunters Jack Begley and Alex Lagina, conduct metal detecting on land formerly owned by former slave-turned-caduceus farmer Samuel Ball. Drayton and his companions initially uncovered a piece of chain buried in the ground, but as they continued their investigation, they eventually uncovered a small copper and bronze ring. They persevered, confident that they were on the correct track, and uncovered a coin that could be hundreds of years old. Samuel Ball, one of the wealthiest residents of Oak Island, owned 36 acres of the island. Did cabbage cultivation contribute to this wealth? Or maybe Ball discovered a treasure? These discoveries could represent a minor portion of the Oak Island treasure ball. Gary Drayton, a metal detecting specialist, and Charles Burkhouse, an Oak Island historian, continue their investigation of Samuel Ball's property in Season 4, Episode 8, The Mystery of Samuel Ball, where they make a number of intriguing discoveries. The first item that Drayton and Burkhouse discover is a gentleman button, which is commonly found on 1700s clothing. They soon unearth numerous King George II coins from the 18th century, as well as a lead ingot used to create musket balls. Drayton hypothesizes that these artifacts are the remnants of a military camp, after uncovering what appears to be an engraved metal tag from the bottom of a handgun. Were these campers from the 18th century searching for forgotten wealth or abandoning it? In the 1700s, the only thing that can be said with absolute certainty is that Oak Island was extremely active. In Blood is Thicker, episode 15 of season 4 of The Curse of Oak Island, Gary employs a metal detector to examine the objects Rick and Marty Lagina had unearthed at the Gal 1 excavation site. They initially assume it to be a coin, but quickly realize that the word plated is engraved on it. Dr. Laurie Vanderlande, an expert in antique valuation, examined this spherical object and concluded that it was most likely a gold-plated button from a 17th or 18th century British military uniform. When the Lagina brothers discover a large metal hinge with drill marks in the same location, this becomes considerably more plausible. Dr. Vanderlande examined it and concluded that it was from the same time period. Even more intriguing is the fact that it was frequently used as a hinge on treasure chests. Even if it originated from a ship that used the hinge for a different purpose, it is still a very intriguing discovery because it raises the question of what lies beneath Oak Island. In Dead Man's Chest, the 2nd episode of the 5th season, Gary Drayton and his metal detecting team once again discover evidence of 17th century participation on the island, which may have been caused by the military, pirates, or both. Soon after discovering a 17th century musket projectile which was used in cannons, they find what appears to be a Maravedi, which is identical to the one found in the Season 1 finale, The Find. This coin is unique because it has been cut into tiny pieces. Oak Island entered a new era when the dust subsided and the significance of the discovery became apparent. The long-held legend had finally come true, permanently altering the fate of the island. Oak Island. Specific museums, exhibits, and research facilities have emerged, revealing the island's enthralling history and incredible discovery story. The Oak Island treasure symbolized human perseverance and the ceaseless pursuit of the unknown. It served as a monument to the ability of the human spirit to solve even the most difficult challenges. The island's name would endure in the annals of exploration and treasure hunting, inspiring future generations to investigate unresolved mysteries. Remember to subscribe to the channel for additional blues from the mysterious universe. Today, Oak Island is still a fascinating destination where tourists can follow in the footsteps of the early explorers by exploring the Money Pit's depths and witnessing the astounding discovery that forever altered the course of human history. The island serves as a reminder that there are still mysteries to be solved, secrets to be uncovered, and hidden treasures in the most unlikely places. The island serves as a reminder that there are still mysteries to be solved, secrets to be uncovered, and hidden treasures in the most unlikely places. Tap the video links that appear, as there is much to learn about Oak Island. Click now and we'll meet you there in a moment, filling the hole with water and blocking any further excavation. As soon as word of the discovery spread, treasure seekers from all over the world flocked to Oak Island to look for the loot. The Onslow Company, a group of financiers, organized the first orderly excavation of the Money Pit in the year 1803. This specific team was able to dig down to a depth of 90 feet before the flooding, which happened in the pit once more, hampered their attempts. Meanwhile, the excavations were permanently halted in 1909 as the Oak Island Treasure Company went out of business. Since then, several other parties have tried to find the treasure buried on Oak Island, but the riddle of the Money Pit has remained unsolved to this day. Oak Island's mystery never ceases to astound us. But what precisely? Let's find out. John Stemmer supports the official Quest of Oak Island website, where you can read a fascinating article about this region. Laird, the expert, believes the ring of stones they discovered could be the foundation of a circular structure. Interesting, yes? When investigating the structure of Lot 5 in minute detail, concentric rings of stones are visible from approximately 100 feet away from the shore. An insightful contributor by the name of Barbara Kopak made an insightful point. She hypothesized that this structure was a kiln, possibly a lime kiln. Its design resembles an ancient Roman furnace discovered in Europe. It is important to observe that Barbara's experience as an architectural artist enabled her to make this intriguing connection. Its proximity to the shore enhances its attractiveness. John Stemmer and the Quest of Oak Island Facebook page utilized the incredible Muon drone to capture photographs. When considering the likelihood that it is a kiln, exciting possibilities emerge. Barbara Kopak's intriguing observation connects the connections, suggesting that this structure may have been a pipe-making kiln. The possibility that it was used to produce pipes piqued people's interest. Given the rumors of a flood tunnel system and the existence of a hydraulic mechanism, pipes would have been required for elevating and lowering the vault. Historiographically, the location of a kiln is crucial. Typically, they were situated away from communities to avoid disturbing residents with pollution. Lot 5 meets this requirement perfectly. It is also essential to be close to water and fuel sources. Fortunately, Oak Island provides both abundant wood for fuel and simple access to water for dilution of clay. It must be stressed that this is all conjecture, but it is intriguing to consider the possibility that Oak Island structures are related to ancient furnaces. In the slideshow, you can view a variety of kiln structures, including European and Roman-era examples. Are you not in agreement that the similarities are quite striking? Next, we will consider the shape. The notion that it might be a kiln was predominantly prompted by its appearance. Note the manner in which it expands. This may imply that there is more to learn than we are currently aware of. The debris-covered ring is clearly visible in a photograph. Now, this detritus could serve as part of the foundation, similar to the stone wall on Lot 26. Alternately, filling in with detritus could be the result of a construction project on Oak Island. If they had been digging tunnels, they would have needed to dispose of a great quantity of waste, and this area would have been ideal. When examining another image of a Roman kiln, be mindful of how far back it extends. Please take note of the large number of small fragments arranged in long rows to form concentric rings, which resembles what we observe on Oak Island. If this is a kiln, it may resemble this type, and where they are currently excavating may be the primary chamber. Remember how, in one of the most recent episodes of Curse of Oak Island, they made a hollow sound by striking a boulder at the bottom of the hole. They may still be required to reach the firebox area. Those fragments with the hollow sound could be protecting the fireplace after all. Currently, we are still determining how the temporary superstructure was constructed. It could have been built with rocks or something entirely distinct. However, this is not the only event that occurred at Oak Island. Astonished that the entire world. There is still more. Both the stone wall on Lot 26 and the pine tar furnace on Lot 15 contained fragments of charcoal. That indicates the presence of fire. They also discovered a piece of pottery, which provides additional insight into what the object may be. The images depict numerous kiln structures discovered by the University of York throughout Europe. They date back to the Roman era, proving that this technology is not new. Immediately, focus on the kiln on Lot 5. Observing the proximity to the water is intriguing. Regardless, let's dissect this and have some fun. First, visualize the mysterious setting in which we find ourselves. This location may be optimal for a covert operation. What if we told you a kiln could be hidden there? A kiln indeed. Consider alternative applications for this kiln before imagining a group of potters creating exquisite pottery. Our minds are racing and we are thinking about pipelines. Pipes indeed. This excellent hypothesis proposes Oak Island may contain a system of flood tunnels. What is this then? This is supported by evidence such as the valve and the cavity beneath the trapdoor. In this case, things are becoming increasingly intriguing. Perhaps intelligent infrastructure is used to construct the underground tunnels. They may be developing a hydraulic system to control the flow of water. However implausible it may seem, let's experiment with it anyway. It is prudent to use pipelines instead of open tunnels. The island's rugged terrain was only marginally suitable for tunneling. If water were to flow through certain areas, they might erode or collapse. Why then not utilize pipes to maintain a constant flow without endangering a collapse? At this point, things become even more pleasurable. Let's investigate the origins of pottery, my companion. We are discussing a technique that has existed since Roman times: clay pipes. Before, these pipelines were formed around a wooden structure, but it was difficult to connect them seamlessly. They ingeniously employed the potter's wheel, which originated in ancient Samaria around 3500 BCE. Incredible, right? Nevertheless, there's more. We should talk about glazing. You know, the protective layer that prevents water from permeating clay and causing damage to ceramics. Roman glazing techniques were extraordinarily inventive. They utilized salt, lead, and tin, invented later, to create an impregnable, complex covering. At this point, things begin to become somewhat chaotic. A pottery instructor asserts that adding saline or ocean water to clay causes its surface to bloom. The kiln firing process produces a beautiful salt patina. Can you imagine the ancient Romans using ocean water to produce these beautiful orange peel textured pipes? Mind-blowing. Let's discuss the pottery object discovered by Laird on the island. Laird believes it dates from the first half of the 18th century, but who knows? It could, after all, be a conduit. What is it? Though it does not appear to be a conventional straight pipe. Not every conduit needs to be straight. This component may be included in a conduit system with a radius of 12 to 14 inches. What is this then? Similar to the redware discovered on Oak Island, this object was crafted from clay. It could be a piece of the puzzle. Let us introduce you to the Romans once more. They were skilled at installing pipelines. Instead of using a single large conduit, they created these intricate pipelines comprised of numerous smaller pipes. It enabled them to regulate water flow and pressure adequately. A unique archaeological image of a Roman pipe reveals the sophistication and complexity of their systems. What is the future? Oak Island may have had a comparable system. You are in store for one more astounding realization. Are you still familiar with the Great Quadrilateral? Recently, essentials have begun to appear in unexpected places. Additionally, they were discovered at the Israeli castle of Belvoir. Are you serious? These nails, found throughout Notre Dame, date to the 1160s and were used to secure stones together during construction. Discuss prehistoric engineering techniques. Then, what does this signify for Oak Island? Well, it's all speculation. We are merely investigating the options for fun. But here's a wild idea. What if these materials discovered on Oak Island were used in an architectural marvel? They may have been part of an intricate structure that required precise stone binding. What is the future? Everything fits into the Oak Island arrangement. Let's mention the stone wall they discovered before we conclude. Even though it is not a wall in the traditional sense, it resembles a circle of pebbles in that it is filled with trash. What is this then? Underneath it, charcoal was discovered. There is still a great deal of data to locate and integrate. Subscribing to the channel will provide you with access to more blues from the world of mysteries. As we conclude our investigation of Oak Island's secrets, it is important to note that all hypotheses remain speculative. However, the investigation of potential connections between historic hydraulic systems, Roman engineering, and ancient furnaces adds an exciting dimension of intrigue. As the mission continues, more and more Oak Island mysteries are revealed. We will meet you there in a minute if you click on the video links that appear to find out what discoveries by explorers astonished the entire globe.
The Oak Island team steps back so that the Dumas Contracting Company team can start drilling in this episode. The business is ready to start the job and has everything it needs. Is it possible that new things will be found? How did the team get past problems to reach their goal? The most important question is, where is the wealth that was buried? Stay tuned as we keep looking for the treasure that has been hidden for a long time. Early in the morning, the drilling company starts by planning how to dig the yard shaft all the way down. For about 6 hours, the flooded water has to be drained out of the garden shaft. Then, debris and artifacts have to be pulled out, wood sets have to be added, and the tube underground has to be made clear enough to be explored. The first step in the process seems to be putting together a very strong and useful tool called the hammer grab, which weighs more than 3 tons and is used for digging. After the dig, the team plans to build new 8-foot-tall wooden levels to try to link to the confirmed but still unexplored tunnel. Different artifacts found by the Oak Island team during their past drilling have proven that the tunnel is there. Some of the water that was pumped out has been seen and studied so far and found to contain gold and other things. But there is one thing that stands out from what they saw. The water that was covered in gold didn't seem to come from the garden shaft. Instead, it seemed to come from the baby blob, which is west of the garden shaft. It was found that the baby blob had the most metal and other artifacts compared to other parts of the money pit, through past study and excavation efforts. The team has a lot of hopes for both during and after the addition of the shaft area. A lot of people are positive, excited about the discoveries that will be made, and interested in where they came from. The team was able to figure out the right way for their excavation work by looking at maps and past observations of the land. The garden shaft was the best place to begin the addition at any height and on a flat surface. With this going on, an area of up to 80 feet can be dug up, explored, and watched. This is a large underground area that should yield many artifacts during the process. One thing is certain about this whole operation: good things will happen, even though the team will face some problems along the way. Another good thing is that some problems are easy to solve with the help of the team's partners at Dumas Contracting Limited. The drilling company is helpful when there is no way to get to places with a lot of metal materials. They can also help with additions if needed. If we're lucky, no prize will be forgotten and the chances of finding the lost treasure are higher than ever. The Dumas team starts the job on a good note, ready to find out more. A few hours into the workday, some team members met in the war room as normal. But this time, it was to have a meeting with someone from Ideon Technologies. The purpose of the meeting was to go over the scientific reports of the money pit. A lot of the Oak Island team seems worried about what the reports might say. The study was mostly useful, and the Ideon Technology team worked hard to make sure it was correct. In the money pit area, the tech team put about 14 monitors into 5 boreholes. It's very, very deep, but most of the sensors were only 80 to 250 feet below the ground. This is very, very close to the tube. It wasn't just recently that the investigation was done. It happened as early as 2021, and it took almost 2 years to do all the necessary studies. This means that the report's conclusions are not based on quick observations, but on thorough study and testing. Based on the story, it looks like the sensors could pick up muons even when they were buried several feet deep. The representative said there were specific things to look for, like suits, voids, tubes that cross at the money pit, and strange things happening underground. The reports were shown clearly, showing how full the money pit was. The 3D picture shows that the areas with moderate density are yellow, the areas with low density are blue dots, and the areas with high density are orange and red. Based on how you look at it, places with a high density are more likely to have treasures, while areas with a low density are more likely to have tunnels, voids, or vaults. Based on the picture, the result is good overall. What should be the baby blob was found about 65 feet below the money pit, west of the garden shaft. There was a lot of stuff there. More than 112 feet below the surface, however, there is a low-density area. The team has a conflict of interest because the results mean they might not be able to get to the high-density area because Dumas Limited is still running. Luckily, this isn't the only place where there are a lot of people. An oddity was found about 85 feet southwest of the garden shaft and 230 feet below the money pit. It had a much higher density than other places. This information makes everyone think of their potential. It looks like Oak Island might have more than one prize. This fact has never occurred to searchers in the past or present until now. The team is willing to learn more about what has been found and agrees to use careful digging to try to find out more about the island. As the minute went on, another report was made about an odd, low-density area that Oak Island's team seemed to have looked into. It's different from other low-density, concentrated areas because it seems to cover a mythical, important spot. There have been many attempts to find Aladdin's cave, but it has been hidden by the void for a long time. The L15 hole was drilled, and a big hole was cut at the SDW of the garden shaft just a year ago. The cave was about 40 feet long and 12 feet wide, and there were drawings and other signs of human activity inside. When people were asked about the water in Aladdin's cave, they said it was heavily contaminated with heavy metals, and it looks like the water has some gold in it. It's possible that the cave has been found before, but if not, it has now because all the signs point to it being the right place for the mythological place to be. The report from Ideon Technologies has changed the game and taken a big step forward in finding the prize. Right now, they have exact places, clear goals, and a plan for how to drill. This is a great result that shows that the years of study were very useful. Luckily, L15 can be drilled right away because it is not near the garden shaft. Drilling can start as soon as it is planned to. The meeting went very well because it proved what most of the team already knew. There was more than one treasure at and near the money pit. I think we can all agree that technological progress was a big part of solving many of Oak Island's secrets. The Duma Contracting Company keeps drilling deep in the garden shaft in the morning of a new day. This time, they are going to dig up L14, Aladdin's cave. On the other hand, archaeologists at Lot 5 keep digging deeper into the stone wall of the rectangle depression that was built to hide the treasures. Some finds have been made, as expected. Some of them go back to before Oak Island, and its treasures were found. The crew